Welcome to week 5 midweek study for the book of Acts. We are on the home run. Just one more midweek study to go next week about hearing the voice of God. Last week, obviously, we had Pastor Mike and talking about spiritual warfare, an incredible discussion. It went for 51 minutes. I don't anticipate that you watched it all, but what you did watch, I hope you got a lot out of. That was just pure gold to hear from him. You know, we looked in the first week at crossing that cultural divide from Hebraic Jews to Hellenist Jews. And then we looked in week 2 about crossing the next cultural divide from the Jews to the Samaritans. In week 3, crossing the next cultural divide, the last cultural divide, all the way to the Gentiles. This week, we're looking at the Council of Jerusalem. And this was what happened to ensure that the message could go to anyone, at any time, anywhere, through all of history, in any location, to any people group, at any point in time. It was such an important piece of church history. And in a way to explain it in a much better format that I could, we've got Andy Stanley. And if you're watching on YouTube, you should just be able to link to the bottom of the screen. We'll have a thumbnail there ready to go for you. I'm watching it from about 5 minutes 40 in. You might need to close this down, go to the study guide, click on the link. But however you go about getting there, make sure you get there. Andy Stanley is a fantastic communicator. I do want to make one disclaimer. In his message, which is fantastic, he talks about unhitching us from the Old Testament. I just want to point out that we firmly want to stay hitched to the Old Testament. That actually, and he means that as well, by the way. As you hear his qualifying statements, that's what he means as well. But it can be very confusing if you just took that isolated statement. We actually firmly believe that now that we are adopted into God's family, not as ones who were chosen, but grafted in as non-Jews, that Old Testament story is actually our story as well. And that in fact it contains pivotal and powerful moments of understanding and how people understood God at the time. His condescending to their understanding of who he is and then leading them into a greater revelation of who he is. We see the Old Testament as vitally important to that large picture, culminating in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, revealed through the life of Jesus Christ and the ways of Jesus Christ and everything that he was and that he did and does. So we see that the Old Testament is actually super important, but then revealed in its fullness through Jesus Christ our Lord. So go ahead and watch that and enjoy, and I hope that you have a fantastic discussion time with the questions afterward.